Let's be honest, when we talk about PlayStation's greatest games, what names comes up? The Last of Us, God of War, Ratchet and Clank, all the heavy hitters, right? But there's one game that, without making as much noise, built its legacy year after year since its release. A game that in 2020 dropped just a few weeks after The Last of Us Part 2, which was one of the most divisive, conversation-dominating games in modern history. And yet, here we are in 2025, and it's Ghost of Tsushima that's quietly become one of Sony's greatest successes. So, how did this happen? How did a new IP from Sucker Punch, a studio mostly known for Infamous, end up being one of PlayStation's most beloved titles? Let's talk about it. First, let's talk about the studio behind Ghost of Tsushima, Sucker Punch. If you've been playing PlayStation games for a while, you probably remember Sly Cooper, their first major release. A fantastic stealth platformer, but nothing that screams, yeah, we're going to make one of PlayStation's most cinematic and immersive experiences ever, in the future. Then came Infamous, their first step into open world storytelling. Great games all around, fun traveling across the map, but still, no one looked at Sucker Punch and thought, yeah, these guys should make an ultra authentic samurai epic, if that makes sense. And I'll be honest, I've read and seen a lot of things about Infamous, but I've never played a single one. So, am I missing something? Should I play it? Just let me know in the comments. In 2011, after years of successful PlayStation exclusives, Sony finally acquired Sucker Punch, like many other studios. And when the time came to create something brand new, they didn't just think small. They went back in history to feudal Japan, Mongol invasions, honor versus survival, and Ghost of Tsushima was born. The game dropped in July 2020 after several years in development, one of the last PlayStation 4 exclusives before the PlayStation 5 arrived. And right away, it did two things incredibly well. The first one, it delivered a combat system that felt really good and with enough variety and options. Unlike some other button mashing games, Ghost of Tsushima gave us this elegant, reactive swordplay, where even your stance mattered. Sure, maybe that's not telling the entire story of the system, but yeah, overall it felt really great. You could go full on honorable swordsman or take the stealthy, dishonorable ghost approach. And this tied directly into the story, because Jin Sakai wasn't just fighting enemies, he was fighting his own beliefs and the culture he knew ever since he was born. The one that samurais have a very strict honor code and they never turn their back on the fight, or worse, attack someone from the shadows. And the second one, the game was gorgeous, but not in a technical, hyper-realistic way like The Last of Us 2. Ghost of Tsushima embraced a bold, vibrant art direction. Gigantic fields swaying in the wind, bright red maple leaves dancing through the air. Even the fog, a thick fog rolling over the mountaintops, it felt like playing through a painting. And the best part? There was no clutter, no minimap, no compass, nothing on the screen, just the wind guiding you to your next destination. It's one of those small design choices that makes such a huge difference. Even open world game today drowns you in UI, but Ghost of Tsushima found a way to keep you immersed without sacrificing guidance. And that's one of the reasons it has aged so well. The way the navigation was implemented into this game is still one of the best ways to show that even in a saturated environment such as open world games, it is still possible to innovate and create something new. Fast forward to 2024, and Ghost of Tsushima finally arrived on PC. And this is where things got even more interesting. For years, PlayStation was hesitant to bring exclusives to PC, but Sony's been making moves. Horizon, Spider-Man, God of War, these were just some of the franchises that found its way to the PC platform. But Ghost of Tsushima was special. It was the first to introduce the PlayStation overlay, meaning for the first time ever, you could earn PlayStation trophies on the PC. Yeah, maybe that's something that most people don't care, but for me, it's kind of a big deal. I'm kind of an achievement maniac, and being able to get trophies while playing on my favorite platform, I mean, that's even better. Although I'll be honest, I don't have that many platinums because I eventually get bored and yeah, I start the next game. And beyond that, you ask? I mean, the game drives on PC. Unlocked frame rates, ultra-wide support, maxed out visuals. This is Ghost of Tsushima at its absolute peak. It's the best way to revisit the game, especially with Ghost of Yotei in the horizon. Sure, Ghost of Yotei is not coming on PC first, it's on PlayStation 5 on the beginning, and I'm going to be playing it there. But if you are hoping to revisit the first game and you have the opportunity to do it on PC, that's definitely the way to do it. All the footage you're watching on this video is recorded with the game fully maxed out, either at 1440p or 4K. Yeah, and that's just because I switched monitors during my playthrough. The game looks incredible, even more for a last generation release. Even the parts that have less colors, like the snowier part of the island, they look amazing. The contrast is super well achieved. Such a great job by Sucker Punch. So I went back, I played it again, start to finish, DLC included, and honestly, this game has barely aged in the last 5 years. The combat still feels amazing, the parries, the duels, the stance switching, it's still one of the best melee combat system in an open world game. Oh, and the world? Still super well put together, with weather and ambient transitions that make sense in the game. Maybe not in real life, because it's kind of weird for an island the size of Tsushima to have two opposing weather seasons at the same time. But from a gameplay standpoint, it detracts nothing from the experience. The only place where the game does show its age is in exploration. The open world formula follows a bit of a checklist structure. Clear the camps, find the fox dens, do the haikus, and if you want to do everything and check everything off the map, yeah, be ready to run from one point to another doing the same 5 to 6 activities over and over again and over again. And sure, it's not the most dull game to do it, but it's something I'm really hoping gets improved in the next game. Not really sure how they can improve it while maintaining the same formula, but I'm all up for changing if it makes a better game overall. At least that's my opinion. Ghost of Tsushima isn't a game you rush, it's a game you exist in. It's a game meant to take your time, enjoy the main story, get to know the characters better with side missions, all of that. And Iki Islands, the DLC that was later released, and that's available on Director's Cut Edition without an extra purchase, well, that's the best part of the game. The way they try to explore Jin's story in a more supernatural approach, it's very well put together, always trying to make it as realistic as possible, and with a lot of flashbacks to Jin's past. The final battle, which I'm not going to spoil it, it's the definitive duel experience in Ghost of Tsushima. And if you've played it for a bit, you know how interesting those duels can be, switching the entire combat formula for a more cinematic, samurai-ish approach. No more bow or even ghost weapons, it's only you, your opponents, and your swords. It was my favorite combat part of the entire game, and I just wish there will be more fights like those. And there are quite a few already on the game, and more on Iki Islands. All of that make for a game that even 5 years later after the original release, is still modern, and more than up to standards of today. We've had incredible releases in these last few years, but Ghost of Tsushima definitely deserves a visit if you have never played it, or even a revisit if you're looking forward to the next game. Now, looking at the future, with Ghost of Yotei on the way, the conversation around Ghost of Tsushima has never been bigger. This sequel is set 329 years after the first game, in a completely different part of Japan, following a new protagonist. It's a massive time jump, but honestly, that seems like a good decision. It means they are not just making Ghost of Tsushima 2, they are evolving the series into something different, hopefully bigger, and keeping Jin's chapter closed after the events of the first game. It allows the developer for a bigger creative approach without straying too much and too far from the fan favorite fiction created initially. From the few things shown so far, the visual identity seems to be making a return, but I have no doubt it's going to be even better. I mean, it's a different generation from the one the first game released on, and it's not getting a release on the PlayStation 4. Which is a good thing actually, it's about time we let the past generation there. In the past. The only real question is, at least for me, what will Sucker Punch keep and what will they change? Because if they can refine exploration and add a bit more depth to side activities, Ghost of Yotei has the potential to be even better than the first game. And I'm really hoping it gets better, because I know I'm going to be diving for a lot of hours in that game. And I mean, a lot. We still don't have a release date, but I'm expecting around the end of the year, especially with GTA 6 still looming around the fall release. There has been some reports that developers are pushing back their release dates announcements to avoid the mammoth that is going to be the new Rockstar Games release window. But it's due to happen to some games eventually, especially with the marketing campaign for GTA 6 still not having started at the time of this video's recording. But we'll see. Despite the final release date, it's one of my most expected games of 2025. So, what do you think? Has Ghost of Tsushima earned this place as one of PlayStation's greatest games? If you've played it, what's your favorite moment? Let me know in the comments as well. And if you haven't played it yet, seriously, just do it. It's on the PlayStation Plus catalog, it's on PC, and it's 100% worth your time. If you've enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe because it helps a lot, and there's plenty more to come. And if you're hyped for Ghost of Yotei, trust me, I'll be covering it a lot when it gets released. Thanks for watching, I'll see you next time.